Okay, so up until now, we've just basically built a very basic screen with an unordered list and H, A, links for the buttons, right? So no fancy UI. Web Components also allows you to add a web component on a web component, right? So there's a set of component libraries out there, or UI libraries out there, which makes writing a front end easier. So most of the components that you see here is actually from the Varden set of components. So if you go to Varden components, you'll find their set of components, which is just web components that you can use. So if you go into their documentation, you'll see all the components that you can use to build a front-end screen. Like there's an accordion, and as an example, the table is called grid. There we go. It's really well documented. You can see all the things that you can do with a table, and you can see how to use it. So if you go to Go Code, you can see all the code. It's TypeScript, and we use JavaScript, but it's easy enough to kind of copy from there. Okay, I need to get the grid, and then this is how I use the grid, right? Then it comes obviously with a bunch of stuff out of the box, like sorting the table, filtering, all sorts of things, and then it has a bunch of components. So for instance, this one here that we've already seen, the table data, which is just allowing you to display build time data without writing any code, is just dumping it into a table, and then you get all of these things out of the box. So this is different from lit, where lit is more a functional type of library that helps you writing your component, and this is a plain UI component, which we just use to build nicer looking pages so that it doesn't look this boring, right? Now you can obviously mix and match if you want to, but it is nicer to stick with one UI component set, because it does give the same feel and look and feel throughout your site. But we've already mixed and matched a little bit, because this code that we highlight here is actually a code mirror component, because there's no such thing in Varden. But apart from that, there's mostly Varden components, or just our own stuff. Like these cards are just plain HTML. Sometimes plain HTML is all that you need. What I've done when I investigated this is I've looked at a whole bunch of these UIs and built prototypes on most of them. The one that we would like to actually use is Patternfly Elements, because this is also a Red Hat project. It is the Patternfly React components that's been used by all the Red Hat UIs, like the UI used by OpenShift and the website and so on, but ported to web components. However, their component set isn't complete yet, and they are in the middle of a big refactor where they are rewriting all the components on top of lit, because again, lit is a functional library. This is a UI library, so the UI libraries itself can build their own UI components on top of lit. One of the things that I've looked for is UI components built on lit, because we're building on lit, so it just makes it integrate better. So Patternfly Elements was just not mature enough yet, and they doing a lot of releases now with small changes as they're moving these things over. We might look at it again in the future and consider going back to this, or start using it. You should be able to mix and match if your CSS skills is good enough to make it look similar, and it shouldn't be a problem. One of the other things that I looked for was a good table component, like I said, because we are using table type data quite a lot, and having the ability to filter and sort and resize and so on out of the box does help. So some of the others that you can look at, there's a whole list here, there's probably more than this. This one from Microsoft isn't bad either. It's not lit based, but it's not a bad set of components. I've looked at a few of these. I've built a prototype in this one, which wasn't bad. This one isn't bad either. Pattern fly elements, obviously. I've looked at Shoelace. It's a very nice set. It doesn't have a table, but it's a very nice set of components. It's lit based. What else did I look at? I looked at Vivid. I built a prototype on Vivid. Also not bad. But at the end, the one that kind of worked the best out of the box was the Varden set of components. This is different from Varden as we know it, where you code in Java and it generates a UI. This is a set of components that is used by that to generate the front end, but the components in itself is usable without the Java side of this, and we don't use the Java side, we just use the components. Okay, so that's a quick intro into the UI side. Let's next look at how we can improve our page here to look a bit better.